AITA for feeling upset. Pregnancy joy overshadowed by Syl's infertility. My husband and I are having our first baby. My family is thrilled, but when we announced it to my husband's parents, their reactions were muted, to say the least. I was very surprised by this as I have known them and considered them close family for 10 years. They didn't get up from the couch or hug us at all. After a few initial questions, my mill announced that Syl is going to be really upset about this. Some backstory: my husband's sister has been married for 4 years and she and her husband have been unable to get pregnant. Unbeknownst to myself or my husband, my Syl has started seeing a fertility specialist the past few months. I think this is wonderful news as I know she wants children very badly, and I wish her nothing but good things. However, I was very upset that our moment of joy had cold water thrown on it. I felt almost guilty for getting pregnant. My mill quickly told us not to tell Syl ourselves, and that she'd handle it. A couple weeks later was Easter, and when we arrived for lunch, we were told that Syl and husband weren't coming. I asked if they were going to Bill's family instead. My mill said she was just going to be honest and tell me that Syl just couldn't bear to see me and didn't want to come ruin Easter by crying the whole time. I got so mad and walked to the bathroom to cry. My husband said I was rude and to calm down, but I felt like my Syl, like in all past family events, is making the situation about her. It feels like we are not allowed to be overtly happy. We ended up leaving so I could cry in a parking lot for 30 minutes. I felt embarrassed, but my husband was sympathetic and understood that it's been hard to control my emotions during the pregnancy. I just couldn't suppress it and had to cry it out. My mill apologized for upsetting me and said she loved me. We returned to lunch and pretended nothing happened and they didn't bring up Syl again. I brought it up to my husband, how unhappy I'm with his family recently, and he was caught completely by surprise. He thought I was over it. His sister has still not even texted him to congratulate him, and his family has not reached out to us in support the way I thought they would. AITA for choosing to be mad about this. I don't want to fight with his family, but I feel very alone in my feelings. My family lives 3 hours away, so with everything going on, I had been planning to rely on my mill for support and comfort. But it feels like she's choosing her daughter's feelings over mine. I'm not saying I don't understand why she's concerned for her daughter, but I'm feeling very neglected. NTA. I have all the sympathy in the world for Syl's situation, but making the whole family feel like they can't celebrate your and your husband's first child is incredibly selfish. This child is going to be a grandchild, a niece/nephew, hopefully someday a cousin. They should be celebrated and you should be supported, especially since your own family is so far away. It's not right to make you feel like you can't be excited about any pregnancy, let alone your first. Oh man, I'm gonna go AITA for the way you reacted and continue to react. Syl made a choice to skip Easter so she wouldn't be bummed out and ruin Easter, but then you got mad and bummed out and ruined Easter. She's allowed to have mixed emotions and protect herself. She didn't ban you from Easter or say shitty things. She skipped a single event for her mental health. Then she got her shit together and congratulated your husband, and you're still pissed. It just took her a minute to get right. It's taking you months to get over it. Everyone reacted poorly, but not atrociously, except kind of you are right now. NTA. I agree with other people saying your parents-in-law can be happy for you, while sympathetic towards your sister-in-law. During the initial announcement, if Syl wasn't there, there was no reason to not show genuine joy for soon becoming grandparents. They can't automatically be braced for someone else's emotions. They should have brought it up after celebrating a bit. With Easter, it's not really their fault that Syl didn't come, but they could stand to show true happiness for you and be sensitive when interacting with Syl. AITA. Your Syl specifically didn't make it about her. She avoided the gathering because she knew it would be upsetting for her and didn't want to make people uncomfortable. You took that too personally and made a scene. It seems like your mill has been loving and supportive. You're just mad that she's not solely focused on you. You're complaining people aren't taking your feelings into consideration, but this whole post you couldn't once stop and realize how much pain your Syl is probably in. Instead you just want her and her family to suck it up and be happy for you. I was going to say NTA, because your soul's behavior is totally immature. Yes, infertility sucks and is heartbreaking. I've been there, but I didn't stop feeling happy for others who were able to get pregnant. I get that Miller's concerned about her daughter, but feeding into her behavior is not helping her, and it's unacceptable that they aren't showing you and your husband the joy they are feeling over your good news. I think you are a bit of an asshole, because I'm not sensing a lot of compassion coming from you. You aren't wrong to be upset that your in-laws are downplaying your good news, but please try to have some compassion towards your sil. I'm torn between na/esh. I don't really understand why the sil is an R. Maybe she should have texted a congratulations over, but it's not like she's overtly said anything to you that's upsetting. She decided not to come to Easter because it was too hard for her, and that was her decision to make. She literally knew that she'd get emotional and avoided coming off as though she was stealing the show by not coming. How does it make her an R that she's having issues controlling her emotions? 2. Obviously, your husband's parents should be more enthusiastic about your pregnancy, but the reality is that they're worried about their daughter. They come off as R's, but to be real with you, I think your Miller's too close to the situation to see how it's affecting you. You really need to communicate to your Mill that you want support from her as well, and discuss how to make that happen. She said she loves you, and she probably is just torn as to what to do between her daughter and someone who she views as a daughter too. Your Mill needs to manage your sil's expectations while you navigate this pregnancy, but you need to manage yours too. This will clearly be a difficult thing for your sil, so don't expect her to be extremely involved. AITA. All I hear is about you. Maybe stop and think what your sil is going through before you get mad. I've been in your shoes and I knew I was very lucky and didn't begrudge anything because I was empathetic to the pain the other person must have been going through. I'm gonna go against the grain and say AITA, but not for your feelings. You want to be excited but no one will be excited with you, which is clearly bumming you out, but you still need to control those emotions, at least with your in-laws. With your husband you should be able to have any outburst you please, because in a sense he's someone who signed up for that by marrying you. You're still staying away and not congratulating you with her controlling her emotions, not only for her mental health, but yours too. She knew it wasn't fair to anyone. No one signed up to take up her emotional burden, so she stayed away until she could control her emotions and be happy for you. Although I will point out the biggest R is your Miller. She is the actual one stirring the pot, while your sil is trying to keep her feelings quiet. She didn't ask anyone to keep their excitement down around you or burden you with her sadness. They chose that on their own, which, considering it is her daughter, someone she birthed and raised, I understand why they're being really cautious of her feelings, but they also need to consider their son and you as an extension of him. As for the other women here who had infertility and are saying the sil needs to get over it, I'd like to point out that it probably was a process to get to the state of peace you are at, and that like all women's experience in pregnancy aren't the same, neither are all women's experience in infertility. It's going to take time for sil to not feel inadequate in her ability to be pregnant and watch another person who is, and respect her choice to separate from the situation. I suggest you do the same and focus on your own excitement with your husband instead of others, because you can't control them, but you can control you. I think your Mill should be able to be happy for you, even though she is sensitive to her daughter's feelings. I think it sucks that she was not more excited about your news, especially since you announced to just the parents, not in front of your sil. On the other hand, expecting your sil to send you a congratulatory text or be there with you in person when she is clearly not in a good emotional state for that is unreasonable. It is not personal. The stress of infertility/infertility treatments has been shown to be equivalent to levels of stress in people with cancer. If she's doing treatment, her hormones may also be pretty intense. Just to give you an idea, when I was going through stimulations for IVF, over the course of 7 days my estrogen levels rose from nearly undetectable to a level that would be normally reached during the second trimester of pregnancy after gradual rise over 12+ weeks. Many women dealing with infertility will not have the emotional bandwidth to be able to be visibly happy around pregnant relatives/friends, as there are too many mixed emotions. I'm seemingly / outwardly okay around pregnant people, but it is really emotionally draining and hard. For many women it is too much. NTA, but your still isn't either. If it's a painful experience to her, that's valid. It sounds like she removed herself from a situation that would upset her, and I don't think you should take it personally. Expecting her to congratulate you might be a bit much, but I don't think that's a big deal. However, your mill is absolutely tough for not being excited for you or celebrating when the sill is not there. NTA. People can be happy for you while being sympathetic to your sill IDK. Why some people think you can only feel for one thing at a time. This means not gushing about pregnancies directly in front of Sil, not ignoring a family member's pregnancy. I can see why Sil didn't come to Easter if she knew she couldn't handle it, and I can see why you were just that she was avoiding you. I would give her time, but your mill is allowed. Be excited for her son and you too. Your family is far, and it's tough to feel like you are not supported. NTA, and you're right, it's not fair or decent or kind to make you feel like a villain for having this wonderful thing happen to you. Of course Sil can feel sad, but you aren't responsible for that, and the rest of the family isn't helping you or her. They are just reinforcing her negative feelings and amplifying them. BTW, you've not choosing to be mad, you're having normal emotions. People who love you should not make you feel like you shit on the living room carpet when you tell them you're having a wanted baby. Unfortunately, this is only going to get worse as you start to show and then give birth. So for your sanity and health, get a counselor and work out how to get what you need without these people, and get your husband help in seeing how dysfunctional the situation is. And don't tell the in-laws you're going. You don't need their guilt tripping you when they think getting help is blaming them. Find a support group that is outside these people. Hopefully they'll come around, but you can't let their inability separate this blessing from their daughter disappointment. For feeling upset? For crying because you needed to? NTA. Hopefully your mill/Phil can stop inserting your sil into your business, because it seems like they are the main perpetrators here. You really can't expect your sil/Bill to be able to give you full, joyous support. They are going through a very difficult journey that hasn't ended yet. Of course they are jealous. It's up to you to be understanding of them. Everyone else should suck it up and be happy for you, though. NTA. Your feelings are valid and congratulations. As someone who has struggled with infertility in the past, I can tell you that I was always really disappointed when people tried to hide their pregnancies from me, as though I wasn't a complex enough person to feel sad about my own lack of children while being excited for their new arrival. It's disheartening that your in-laws made your announcement about someone else's struggle, and honestly I would tell them that you can be both sympathetic to your sil's plight, but excited about your own joy. It does sound like you've married into a family of emotional enablers that are based off of your in-laws and husband's reactions. If I ask my neighbor to keep her mentally disabled son quiet for most hours of the day. The house my mom and I are currently renting has its basement being rented out to a single mother and her son, who I'll refer to as M. Our landlord did not inform us of this, and we were unaware until of their presence until M's mom ran into mine while on her way to work after we were nearly done moving in. I bring this up mainly because M, who has Down syndrome, makes a lot of noise, mostly incoherent mumbling and yelling. His voice can be heard throughout the house and is loudest where my room is at. It didn't bother my mom and I too much because I would be at school and M would usually go to adult daycare, sorry if that isn't the right term, in the afternoon, and would stay relatively quiet in the evenings. His mom doesn't tell him to keep quiet unless he makes noise around 11 PM. This includes when M, on occasion, plays loud, bass-heavy music. Because of our current global situation, M can be heard babbling most hours of the day. I understand that this time may be stressful and that he may not understand why he can't go outside anymore. I understand that his way of coping may be making a lot more noise than usual. Most days of the week I'm woken up by him moaning and making noise. I can't do classwork because I can't focus without my area being quiet, aside from ambient noise, and I can't afford to throw money at a good pair of noise cancelling headphones. My mom has mentioned her discomfort as well. I'm not sure if my mom and I are able to move anytime soon, but we will surely look into that when we are able to. I really feel bad for having to do this, because I understand that those who are mentally challenged, depending on the person, may not be fully aware that they are bothering those around them. But I feel like something should be done to at least limit the amount of noise he makes, especially since it's negatively affecting those around him. NTA. For the music, complain about that, because that the mother can control. You can complain about it and should ask her to do something to turn it down so that you can get some work done. AITA for the other stuff. She has to live with that, and unfortunately you all do. The son can't do anything about those noises that he makes. It's a part of what he is struggling with. YWBTA. She's probably struggling right now without the usual help she gets by sending her son to adult daycare. I'm sure she'd love a break from the constant noise herself, but as a single mother to a disabled son during a global pandemic, she doesn't have that luxury. Try to have a little empathy and compassion, and instead of throwing money at a good pair of noise cancelling headphones, go get some foam earplugs for $5. Edit. Just to clarify, this is about the moaning and babbling. If you just ask them to keep the loud music down, then YWNBTA. AITA for everything except the loud music. That's a reasonable complaint. I bet the mom would love for her child to be quiet or to make appropriate noises and not moaning and whatnot. She can't really stop him from making those noises. Your landlord also doesn't suck. I doubt he knew the severity of the boy's disability, and also he can't legally disclose that information to you. He also can't refuse to rent because of disability. NTA. If his mother isn't even trying to keep him quiet, especially with the music, as harsh as it is, some people aren't suited for shared living, but asking her to keep it down probably won't achieve anything. You could try downloading a white noise app or putting down thick carpets. NTA. I personally would give a try to the earplugs. They are affordable and effective. If those don't succeed, well, he's keeping you from studying, and he wakes you up. His mother should try a bit better to make his child behave, even though it is difficult. But, drums, really? Nah, you have every right to want to be able to concentrate in your own home without being subjected to loud noises. That said, I doubt there is much anyone can do to stop the young man from making those noises. Talk to the mother. Maybe there is something she can do to distract him, at least for part of the time. Try earplugs, white noise, or playing, at a reasonable volume, your own music. I know you said you don't have money for noise cancelling headphones, but look at them online. There are some good ones for less money than you think. If all else fails, talk to the landlord about getting out of your lease and moving elsewhere. Nah, it's understandable to be upset by loud noises when you're trying to do homework or in the night. Just because he can't help it and is mentally ill doesn't mean his behavior won't have an effect on others. But the mom and son really can't do anything about it, so if you tell them, then it'd just seem like you're insensitive. Really, the only solution is to get the noise cancelling headphones, or just earplugs. I'm pretty sure you can get those pretty cheap, so that it's quieter, but don't complain to the mom about it. I don't necessarily think you're tar. That sounds uncomfortable as heck. I hate to say this though, but chances are the mom would like some peace and quiet too. / your landlord sucks though for not informing you about this prior. Why would the landlord need to inform them prior? The specifics of the other tenants' lives in a dwelling is not relevant to a lease. Dealing with other people's noises is a part of renting a multi-family home or apartment. So deal with it, or find somewhere else to live. AITA. He should certainly inform them there are other tenants, and that they are renting space in a multi-family dwelling. It's pretty difficult to not notice an entire basement apartment that is not included in the lease. More than likely, OP knew there were other tenants, just not the daily habits and lifestyle concerns of said tenants. They didn't know it was a multi-family home until after they moved in, and chances are, if they try to terminate their lease early, they'll face penalties. AITA. I'm sorry, but how do you expect his mother to keep him quiet? Are you under the impression that she enjoys all of this noise he is making? You are 100% allowed to be annoyed with the noise, and you are also allowed to go and ask her to keep her son quiet. but don't be surprised if you come across as a bit insensitive and your neighbor ends up hating you, as you obviously realize he can't help the noises he makes and will be struggling with this situation. But yeah, why not see if he can be muzzled, as that would be the only way of keeping him quiet. The mom is probably used to the noise and tunes it out. Op says that the mom asks him to be quiet around 11 PM, so maybe it's possible for him to be more quiet. It might be worth a knock on their door and very politely asking if the noise level in the apartment could be brought down without mentioning the specific noise. Op can always ask them and see if they can change it. AITA X10. The landlord is also an asshole if he didn't inform your mother. 10 to 11 PM is perfectly normal hours to stop making a lot of noise. He can't help what noise he does make as he's disabled and doesn't understand how loud he is. My brother has Down syndrome and he's loud because 1 has hard of hearing and 2 he self-soothes with noises. Buy a white noise generator, a fan, or anything else to block the noise out. NTA for the music complaint. They should definitely be more respectful of their neighbors and either get him some headphones or keep the music down. AITA for the complaint about his verbal noises. He can't help it and neither can his mom. There is no point in bringing that up and making them feel bad for something out of their control. Have some sympathy for them in that aspect. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and remember to practice social distancing.